I know this is probably ridiculous, but I wouldn't mind. I know what I'm about to say. I wouldn't mind having Trey Jones and Trey Young and Tyus Jones. If that makes any sense, I would love all three of those guys, and that makes all of our point guards like small. I understand that too, but maybe it's not such a bad thing when you have the big fella back there. And you get like three different dynamics of point guard. You get like a scoring point guard, high output superstar Trey Young. You get two of the best probably backup point guard, players to put in for him. So anyways, both Jones brothers, Trey Young. I've been thinking about that. That's been keeping me up at night. And we can get him out of Washington and keep Trey Jones as well. I think that would just be an awesome situation for the organization. All that being said, can the Spurs still make moves and try to do things a little bit against the grain of how we usually do things? And there are players out there, like let's talk about Trey Young. Trey Young, I think that conversation happens all the time, and I think it's because to the eye test, it's like a match made in heaven. These two guys, yeah. If you put a guy who can throw a lob without looking at it, and Wemby, putting it right where Wemby needs it every single time. Oh yeah, that's the perfect player with Wemby. Sure. And a guy who can shoot, and Trey Young can shoot, by half court. He can be pulling up three. So those two things make you think, oh wow, man, that would be great. And he doesn't even have to be a great defender because, he's got Wemby there to back him up. Even though Trey Young has taken steps forward this year defensively, he's taking a lot of charges, he's getting after it, and I think he's injured right now. And obviously the idea of having like a pick and roll Trey Young Wemby combination is very enticing. It's very exciting to think about. At the same time, that's just not something. I don't believe that as much as I would like to see that. I would like to see that just as much as anyone else. If the Spurs came out, the first day of the offseason and said, "Hey, we've traded this year's first round pick, one of Atlanta's, one of Chicago's picks, back, that way for Trey Young." Yeah, sure. I'd be excited. I'd be excited to see the brain trust and the organization kind of take that move, because I trust they believe it's a good move. But if I were to look into my heart of hearts and make a bet on next year, I don't believe the Spurs are doing anything of that nature. I don't believe they are going to trade for anybody. I think they roll into next year, maybe trying to put a couple of seventh, eighth, ninth guys, on the roster and try to improve those guys for at least one more year. And then we'll see what happens in that 2025 draft class. Right. Now, and let's look at our record right now. It's 15-53. We're 15 wins and 53 losses. If we want to get into the play-in territory, we're going to have 40 wins or more, right? Talking about next year. Can we go from 15 wins to 40 wins in one off season? Even if we get Trey Young, let's just say we get that one guy, Trey Young. It's not like we could put all 5 great pieces around him in 1 year. No, and it's not. And when you're dealing through trades and free agency, you're not locking these pieces up for long term, and we need long term pieces. We understand that in San Antonio for long term success. And that's another thing too, is that the Spurs are smart. They don't want to. I wouldn't think that they would want to risk any type of short-term satisfaction to Wembanyama. Okay, let's satisfy him this season. Let's get Trey Young, but then that might affect the long-term plan and long-term ability, of this team, and that's what Victor needs. Victor needs a clear number 2 guy. Now, it could be Trey Young. Like I said, that would be awesome. I wouldn't hate seeing that. But is that going to get us to 40 plus wins? Is that the goal? Are we trying to get to, are we trying to get rid of all of our assets and just trade to be all right, to be playing? No, it's not. It's we're trying to build long-term success, long-term continuity, and long-term investment from the players that we bring into the organization. So, there's a lot to think about when talking about trying to build this plan for Wembanyama.